Back now on Triad today, time to talk about bicycle safety and safety in general with two guys that know all about it. In fact, I feel very safe with them all the time anyway. On my right and distance behind, the Daggett Shuler guys. I call them David Daggett, Griff Shuler, partners, Daggett Shuler, attorneys at law. Good to see you guys.
Hey, Jim.
David, let me start with you. I want to get to that because we have a bike helmet here, so I know we're going to get to that. But before we talk about that, here's something I don't think I've ever asked. Why is what kind of clothing is important to wear if you are riding a bicycle?
So clothing when you ride a bicycle should be comfortable and it should be colorful. So there's special clothing built for bicycling. You don't have to dress like an elite athlete in Lycra and spandex all the time. There's very nice casual clothing that is meant for bicycling. That's important. I could go through a whole bunch of things, but there's clothing so that your pants don't get stuck in the chain, and that's
right. Should you have knee pads on, or?
Well, depending if you're off-road and the type of cycling, but there's a whole array of casual biking clothes for the casual cyclist. But bright colors are important so that you're visible. Visibility is big.
Griff, I've actually, this is going to sound like a stupid question, I've actually seen this happen before. If you're out riding your bike on a road or a street, and it's kind of busy, maybe even not a small highway, I've seen bikers sort of weave in and out of traffic, and well, I'm going to go this lane and that lane, and I'll just wait until this car passes, and I'll get. Is that a good thing to do?
That is not smart. Number one, you should follow the rules of the road. Be on the far right-hand side of the lane of travel, and you shouldn't be going in and out of cars. One thing to remember is, I think cyclists are very knowledgeable of this law. I don't know that many motorists seem to know this law.
And I want to ask you about some of the North Carolina law in just a second, too.
You're supposed to have 4 feet distance between you and a car and the cyclist. And I think one of the biggest mistakes I see motorists on the road doing is when they go to pass, particularly on a 2-lane road, they're much closer to the cyclist than 4 feet.
Well, all right. And I've seen, couriers in big cities, they'll weave in and out, although it's kind of dangerous. David, all right, let's get to the helmet. Tell me why a helmet's so important and the fit for the helmet's so important, and then I'll...
Yeah, so the number one thing in bike safety is a helmet. This helmet's actually rather old, but a helmet is cheaper than a brain exam if you crash and hit your head. But basic fit is you want to have a chin strap that fits well. You want the helmet to be tight here, usually 2 fingers above your eyebrow, because that protects this whole rim around your head. Most of the new helmets have a dial or some sort of tightening device. It's called a rock lock. This is your rock, this is your lock. And this helmet you can actually tighten down that even without the straps, it stays pretty snug in place. So
you want it snug but not too tight.
Right. You want it to stay in place when you crash. This one's been crashed.
It has. Now that brings me to my other question. You had a rather personal experience with this, right?
Yes. So it's going to happen. I've cycled in the neighborhood of 300,000 miles on the road. If you cycle any sort of volume, at some point you're going to go down, kids go down. Wearing a helmet is very, very important. Helmets are designed with a slick surface that skids across the road. This one's carbon fiber reinforced. It's a very advanced styrofoam, very similar to what a new TV or electronic device comes in. It's packed in styrofoam.
Right.
Exactly the same principle, but a little bit higher technology. This one is broken in about 6 pieces.
I want to get back to one other thing real quick before we lose time, Griff. Isn't it all about common sense and courtesy when you're talking about bikers and motorists and safety and all the things even David mentioned?
Absolutely. Be courteous to one another. Share the road. I think that's one of the biggest things. Share the road. Don't try to pass when you know you don't have the clearance to get around a cyclist. I think a lot of times people that when they're in their car, they just aren't being smart and they aren't being courteous.
And for the cyclists, be good ambassadors.
Yes.
Because what you do affects me when I'm riding my bike.
Right.
If we're all good ambassadors, it all gets better.
And this guy knows what he's talking about. He rides a lot. Speaking of safety, check out safesober.com if you would. That's an interesting website too, of something we talked about on the show before. And also DaggettShulerLaw.com if you should need the services of these gentlemen, or call 724-1234. Guys, I appreciate this so much, and thanks for promoting safety in all ways. And you're going to stay over for the roundtable.